Okay, I'd like to do a couple of examples where we define and invoke functions, use parameters and arguments on some of the programs that we did in CS10 to make them more efficient, to organize our code a little bit better. So one of the first ones, let's first start off with it's a new year. I have my velcamp colon CS10 here. Make sure we're going to do velcamp colon CS20 now. You should have a folder on your F drive as well, right? Your network drive. With your last name, first name, CS20 would be great. And inside of this, I'll make another folder. We're working on functions right now. Later on, we'll make a folder for data structures. And inside of here, I'm going to put my code. Now, I'm going to take some start code. So I'm working on these video lessons right now, but I have the link for the start code for Kung Fu Panda lookup. It's one of the lessons I did in CS10. So I'm just going to get that from GitHub. So I'm sharing that code with you. Just go to the clone or download here. Download the zip. Awesome. I'm just going to say show in folder. Opened up on the wrong screen. Okay, and now what I can do is in here, I'm just going to go into, I have to extract it, right? It's in a zip folder right now. So just go into there. There's the unzipped folder. Just drag that out into my functions. And that's really slow, apparently. Okay, oh, there we go. Just had to wake up. Okay, I don't need that anymore. Actually, I could just probably delete this too. Okay, so let's open this up with code. When I installed it, I can go open with code, or you can also open this, of course, by just opening up Visual Studio Code. Again, that opened on the wrong page. Okay. And I can just drag, right, this has all the files that I need, but we want to open up the entire folder. So we drag that into the open space there. It's now opened this folder as the current project. Okay, and I've got my index.html, wonderful. I've got my main.js and my style.css, and we will be focusing on main.js. I've got my go live, my live server. All right, that's one of the extensions that I have here, live server and Beautify. And if I hit, let's make sure this is my active window, so it opens in here. So I'm going to hit go live. Make sure to start of the year, make sure your default app settings, default programs. I thought it was default programs, but if you go here, you want to make sure you have your default browser set. Okay, so the idea behind this one was you were able to search, right? There's a link here, PoWiki. It shows a picture of him, his name, that stuff.
Good morning, everyone.
Wow.
Any student who has not
Sorry for
gone
the
to the theater to
announcements.
get their ID card
Okay, so
taken,
Tigris.
please make your way to the theater right now. Any student who has not had their photo taken, please make your way to the theater right now. Thank you.
Okay. So hopefully you understand the main idea, right? You type the name in, it updates the image, the name, the quote, and the link, right? The link will actually take you to, we change the link as well. Takes you to the proper character. Okay, let's focus on this beautiful stuff here, the JavaScript. So all we're doing here is, right, when I click that search button, I run this function, I get the name, bring it to a lowercase, convert it to lowercase, right? And if the name is Tigris or Master Tigris, Mantis or Master Mantis, Monkey or Master Monkey, then I update all this information. Get the main image and change its source to that. Get the character name, change what it says to this. Get the quote and change it to this. Get the link to say this and actually change the href of the link to this href, that address. Okay, and this code here, and this code here, and this code here are very similar. The question mark is similar. It's a little bit different though. We'll see what we do with that. But for now, let's just focus on these three different Kung Fu Panda characters. All right. So what is different here? So when you start learning how to use functions, you should look for these patterns and say, wow, I could probably write a function to do all of this work and just repeat that over and over again. Okay. Well, the first thing we could do actually is I start thinking to myself, okay, you know what, this function's, if I added some more characters, this function's getting pretty big. It makes it harder to read. So even just to start by defining a function, I could define a function called, who is first here? Tigris. I don't even have Po. We can't even go back to Poe. He starts off, but we can't go back. Anyway, you can add that. So function, and I could say, you know, display tigress, right? And I could take all of this code here. I'm going to Control X to cut it, Control V to paste it. Shift Alt F is to format the document, so it does that beautify happens and it automatically tabs it for us. Okay, so now I've stored all of that code inside of this function called display tigress. In order to do that code, I need to actually invoke it. And if they typed in tigress, I want to call the function display tigress. Okay, and then same thing here, update page to mantis. I'm going to cut. After this function, we're going to define another function called display mantis, paste, and in here, display mantis. And remember to invoke the function with the 2 parentheses. And we'll do the same thing with monkey. Control X, function, display monkey. And then we need to invoke the function here, display monkey. Okay, and you know what, might as well do this too. Control X for the else, function, display, question mark. Paste that in, display, question mark, like so. So now, we haven't really saved the amount of code that I run, but this character search function is now a lot cleaner. When you organize your programs, it's often a common thing to have one main function that will be the big boss, right? He's the manager, he's the contractor, and he says, you know what, they typed in tigress, I know what's going on, someone requested tigress, all right, display tigress function, do your job. If someone typed in mantis, okay, display mantis function, do your job, right? So this is kind of the big boss man that tells other functions to do their jobs. And then it just helps keep it organized. We can see the structure. Okay, yeah, there's all these different options. If we added more characters, it wouldn't add too many more lines, right? And then these different functions are where we go to have the specific tasks, right? These are our worker functions that get the stuff done. Okay, let's make sure this still works. I will save that. This should have updated with live server, but just in case, if I type in mantis now and hit search, it still works. Okay, who else do we have here? Tigress, mantis. Do we have crane? I don't see, oh, monkey. Monkey. Woo. Okay, cool. So this is an example of defining functions and then invoking them to help with the organization of the program. Now, I started talking a bit at the beginning. We can also make things more efficient, right? All these functions here are very similar. Maybe I could use what we learned about passing data into the functions, those parameters and arguments, to make this more efficient. So what's the difference between these three? Tigress.png, mantis.png, monkey.png. Okay? The name, right? Tigress, mantis, monkey. The quote, right? That was pretty hardcore. Fear the bug, we should hang out. And then here, this name, I could reuse, I think, right? Tigress wiki, mantis wiki. We could just reuse the name. So I'm going to suggest, I want to define a function called display character, right? So not a specific character like tigress or mantis, but this function should take in some values. Let's first take in the image path, right? So that'll be the tigress.png or mantis.png. And actually, you know what? If I was going to be, we can be clever here. We can take the name with the capital and then put it to a lowercase. Or I could rename my images so that they're uppercase. But let's just convert it to a lowercase and add the .png. Let's do that. So all I really need is the name, right? I can use that here, 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 and here. And I need the quote. Okay, so name and quote. 2 things. And you can have as many things as you want here. In this case, we're just going to do the 2 things. Okay. I'm going to copy and paste this. So we're going to say update page to new character info, because we don't know what character it is. It just depends what gets passed into our function. Excuse me. But now what I can do is I can replace Tigris here with the name. So to do that, remember when we have strings, we can add strings together. So I'm going to put a quotation here to end the images slash plus, and then this will become a variable, right? The name variable, plus, and then a quote here for the .png. Now this doesn't work because there's no variable called Tigris, but if I go name.to lowercase, that'll take whatever name is passed in, convert it to lowercase, and insert it into this image path. Right? So images slash whatever the name is .png. Okay. This one's pretty easy, Tigris. We're just going to replace that with name. This should be pretty easy. We're just going to replace that with quote. This one we will need to get rid of this. This will become the variable plus space wiki. So we'll replace Tigris here with name, and then here as well, end the string there, go plus, and then instead of Tigris, that'll be name. Okay, so all we're doing here, right, is we're picking apart these strings here and inserting those variables into the strings so that it'll use whatever gets passed into this function. So now to do Tigris, instead of going display Tigris, I can go display character, and I will pass in Tigris and the quote, which was, that was pretty hardcore. Excuse me. Yep, that was pretty hardcore. Okay, let's see if that works. It should now call display character. We'll save that. Tigris. Bam. Okay, awesome. Still worked. And the beauty of this, okay, so here is now the moment of truth, is I can now replace this with display character, pass in mantis, and mantis's quote, fear the bug, I think. Fear the bug. What's monkeys? Oh yeah, we should hang out. Okay, and then we go to here, and same thing, display character, we're going to pass in monkey, and then the quote, we should hang out. Don't forget my semicolons, so they're not totally necessary. We're going to leave the question mark alone for now, because that one's a little bit different. I'm going to delete all of those now. Okay, so that's the awesome part. That's the more efficient, right? I don't need 3 separate functions. I just have display character that I can use over and over again with different values. Okay, let's make sure this works. Okay, so let's try monkey. Awesome, totally worked. And mantis. Great. Master Tigris. Awesome. Poe. Question mark. Okay. So I'm gonna stop here. The question mark function is similar, but it's a little bit different, right? Because we don't really have a name. We put these question marks. Wiki home. Like we could do some stuff here, but I'm not gonna mess around with that. It's just one separate function, not a huge deal. But the key here was, right, if I want to add more characters now, all I would have to do is say, hey, display character name, Poe, and whatever the quote is. In fact, I think you should do that. I've got a crane.png and a Poe.png. And if you wanted to find some good quotes for them, if you go to here, you can just look up characters, the Furious 5, crane, and there you can chain my body, but you'll never chain my warrior spirit. Okay, so feel free to modify this program now, right, and add the other characters. You could do Poe and crane and make sure that those work. Did I do Viper? I can't remember. Viper. Nope, you can add Viper too. Okay, so that's what I'd like you to do. It shouldn't be hard because I did the function for you, but you'll just be able to call the display character function with the new information. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you're able to finish that task.